but also religious scriptures contain descriptions of hell and heaven. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, you can find out where these hellish planets are and how distant they are from this planet, just as you can obtain information from modern astronomy. Astronomers have calculated how far the moon is from here and what the distance is between this planet and the sun. Similarly, the Bhagavatam contains descriptions of the hellish planets. We have experience of different atmospheric conditions, even on this planet. In the Western countries near the North Pole, the climate is different than in India, which is near the equator. Just as there are differences in atmosphere and living conditions on this planet, similarly, there are many planets which have different atmospheres and conditions of life. After hearing a description of the hellish planets from Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj said, "Sir, I have heard from you about the hellish planets. Men who are very sinful are sent to those planets." Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.6. Prakriti, Prakriti Maharaj is a Vaishnava devotee, and a Vaishnava always feels compassion for others' distress. He is very afflicted by the miseries of others. When Lord Jesus Christ presented himself, for instance, he was greatly afflicted by the miserable conditions of the people. Regardless of which country or sect they belong to, all Vaishnavas or devotees, any people who are God conscious or Krishna conscious are thus compassionate. Therefore, to blaspheme a Vaishnava, a preacher of God's glories, is a great offense. Krishna, God, is never tolerant of offenses committed at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Kripam Buddhi, a Vaishnava is an ocean of mercy. Vancha Kalpa Taro, everyone has desires, but a Vaishnava can fulfill all desires. Kalpataro means desire tree. There is a tree in the spiritual world which is called a desire tree. In this material world, you get a particular type of fruit from a particular type of tree. But in Krishna Loka, as well as in all the Vaikuntha planets, all the trees are spiritual and will fulfill all your desires. That is described in the Brahma Samhita. Chintamani prakarasad masukalpa vriksha. A Vaishnava is addressed as Mahabhaga, which means fortunate. One who becomes a Vaishnava and is God conscious is understood to be greatly fortunate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained that the living entities are rotating in different species of life, in different planetary systems all over the universe. A living entity can go anywhere, to hell or heaven, as he likes and as he prepares himself. There are many heavenly planets, many hellish species of life. The living entity is rotating, wandering through these species and creating bodies according to his or her mentality in the present life. As you sow, so shall you reap. And that is a proverb that says, Whatever you do, that's what you're going to get back to yourself, to you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that out of all these numberless living entities who are traveling in the material world, one is fortunate. Not everyone. If everyone were fortunate, they would all have taken to Krishna consciousness. It is being distributed freely everywhere. But why are people not taking it? Because they are unfortunate. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that only those who are fortunate take to this Krishna consciousness. Okay, I want to keep quiet, please. It is being distributed freely everywhere. But why are people not taking it? Because they are unfortunate. If everyone were fortunate, they would all have taken to Krishna consciousness. It is being distributed freely everywhere. But why are people not taking it? Because they are unfortunate. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that only those who are fortunate take to this Krishna consciousness, and they get hopeful life, pleasant life, blissful life, a life of knowledge. It is the duty of a Vaishnava to go door to door to make the unfortunate people fortunate. A Vaishnava thinks, how can these people be delivered from their hellish life? That is Parikshit Maharaj's inquiry. Sir, he said, you have described that on account of one's sinful activities, one is put into a hellish condition of life, or in a hellish planetary system. Now, what are the countermeasures by which such persons can be saved? This is the question. When a Vaishnava comes, when God himself comes, or when God's Son or his very confidential devotees come, their only mission is to save the sinful men who are suffering. They have knowledge of how to do this. Okay, please keep quiet. Please keep quiet. When Prahlada Maharaj and Nrsingadeva, he said, Navodvijay para duratyaya vaitaranyas, and so forth. My dear Lord, Prahlada said, I am not very anxious for my own deliverance. Mayavadi philosophers are very careful that their personal salvation is not interrupted. They think, if I go to preach in association with others, I may fall down, and my realization will be finished. Therefore, they do not come out. Only the Vaishnava devotees come out at the risk of fall down, but they do not fall down. They may even go to hell to deliver the conditioned souls. This is Prahlada Maharaj's mission. He says, Navadvijay, I am not very anxious about living in this material world. Prahlad Maharaj says further, I have no anxiety for myself, because somehow or other I have been trained to be always Krishna conscious. Because he is Krishna conscious, he is confident that in his next life he is going to Krishna, back to Godhead. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that if one executes the Krishna consciousness regulative principles carefully, it is certain that he will reach the supreme destination in his next life, meaning he'll go back to the spiritual world. Prahlada Maharaj continues, there is only one source of anxiety for me. Just see, although he had no anxiety for himself. He still had anxiety. He says, Soche tato vimukha chetasa. I am anxious for those persons who are not Krishna conscious. That is my anxiety. For myself, I have no anxiety, but I am thinking of those who are not Krishna conscious. Why aren't they Krishna conscious? Maya Sukhaya Boram Udva Hato Vimudan. These rascals have created a humbug civilization for temporary happiness. Maya Sukhaya. Actually, this is a fact. We have a humbug civilization. So many cars are being manufactured every year. And for that purpose, so many roads have to be excavated and prepared. This creates problem after problem. Therefore, it is Maya Sukhaya, illusory happiness. And yet, we are trying to be happy in this way. We are trying to manufacture some way to be happy, but this only creates other problems. In your country, meaning America, you have the greatest number of cars, but that does not, no, I don't, that does not solve any problems. You have manufactured cars to help solve the problems of life. But I have experienced that this also creates more problems. When my disciple Dayananda Das wanted to take me to a doctor in Los Angeles, I had to take the trouble to travel 30 miles before I could even consult the doctor. Once you create cars, then you must travel 30 miles or more, 40 miles, etc., to meet your friends or your doctor. You can fly from New York to Boston in 1 hour, but it takes even longer than that just to get to the airport and wait and then eventually get your flight. This situation is called Maya Sukhaya. Maya means false or illusory. We are trying to create some very comfortable situation, but we have created another uncomfortable situation. This is the way of the material world. If we are not satisfied by the natural comforts offered by God and nature, and we want to create artificial comforts, then we have to create some discomfort also. Most people do not know that. They think that they are creating a very comfortable situation, but actually they are traveling 50 miles to go to the office to earn a livelihood and 50 miles to come back. Because of such conditions, Prahlad Maharaj says that these vimudhas, these materialistic persons, these rascals, have created an unnecessary burden on themselves simply for temporary happiness. Vimudan Maya Sukhaya Baram Udvahato. Therefore, in Vedic civilization, it is recommended that one free himself from material life, take sannyasa, the renounced order of life, and prosecute spiritual life with absolute no anxiety. If one can execute Krishna consciousness in family life, that is very good. Bhaktivinoda Thakura was a family man, a magistrate, and still he executed devotional service so nicely. Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlada Maharaj were grihastas, householders, but they trained themselves in such a way that even as householders they were faced with no interruptions in their service to Krishna. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaj says, I have learned the art of always remaining in Krishna consciousness. What is that art? Tvad virya gayana maha nrita magna chita. Simply glorifying the victorious activities and pastimes of the Lord Krishna. Virya means very heroic. Krishna's activities are heroic. You can read about them in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead book. Krishna's name, his fame, his activities, his associates, and all other things related to him are heroic. Harivilas Maharaj says in this connection, I am certain that wherever I go, I can glorify your, meaning Krishna's, heroic activities and be safe. There is no question of my falling down, but I am simply anxious for those persons who have created a type of civilization in which they are always busy working hard. I am thinking of them. Prahlada says further, Prayena Deva Munayo Swa Vimukti Kama, and so forth. My dear Lord, there are many saintly persons and sages who are very interested in their own liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.44. Munaya means saintly persons or philosophers. Prayena, Deva, Munaya, Swa, Vimukti, Kama. They are very interested in their own liberation. They try to live in solitary places like the Himalaya mountains. They do not talk to anyone, and they are always afraid of mixing with ordinary people in the city and becoming disturbed or maybe even falling down. They think, better let me save myself. Prahlad Maharaja regrets that these great saintly persons do not come to the city, where people have manufactured a civilization of very hard work all day and night. Such saints are not very compassionate. He says, I am anxious for these fallen people who are unnecessarily working so hard simply for sense gratification. Even if there were some point in working that hard, such people do not know what it is. All they know is sex. Either they go to a naked dance or to a naked club or to this or that. Prahlada Maharaj says, Naitan vihaya kripanam vimukta eka. My Lord, I do not need salvation alone. Unless I take all these fools with me, I shall not go. He refuses to go to the kingdom of God without taking all these fallen souls with him. This is a Vaishnava. And it says, Nanyam tvad asya saranam priya mato nupasye. I simply want to teach them, meaning the people that are overworking, how to surrender unto you, O Krishna. That's all. That is my goal. The Vaishnavas know that as soon as one surrenders to Krishna, one's path is clear. Navodvijay paraduratyaya vaitaranyas tvam virya gayana mahamrita magna chitta. Somehow or other, let them bow down before Krishna. This is a simple method. All you have to do is bow down before Krishna with faith and say, My Lord Krishna, I was forgetful of you for so long, for so many lives. Now I have come to consciousness. Please accept me. That's all. If one simply learns this technique and sincerely surrenders himself to the Lord, his path is immediately open. These are the philosophical thoughts of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is always thinking about how the fallen, conditioned souls can be delivered. He is always involved in making plans in that way. Just like the Goswamis. What was the business of the six Goswamis of Vrindavana? Lord Chaitanya's direct disciples? That is stated by Srinivasa Acharya. Nana Shastra Vicharaneka Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako, and so forth. The six Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, are very expert in scrutinizingly studying the revealed scriptures, with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. They are always absorbed in the mode of the gopis, and are engaged in the transcendental, loving service of Radha and Krishna. With similar Vaishnava compassion, Parikshit Maharaj says to Sukadeva Goswami, "You have described the different types of hellish conditions of life. Now, tell me how those who are suffering can be delivered back to Godhead. Kindly explain this to me." Adhu neha mahabhaga yataiva narakan nara nanogra yatan nam neyat tan me vyavakayat tum arhasi. Nara means human beings. Those who are fallen. Nanakan nahi nanogra yatanam neyat tanme. How can they be delivered from their fierce, miserable, and horrible pains? That is a Vaishnava's heart. Maharaj Parikshit says, somehow or other, they have fallen down in this hellish life. But that does not mean that they should remain in that condition. There must be some means by which they can be delivered, so kindly explain this. So, kindly please explain this. Sukadeva Goswami replied, Na chet ihai va paschitam yata hamsa kritasya kuryam mana ukta panibihi dhruvu vam sa vai pretya narakam upaiti ye krititi me bhagavatas trigma yata naha. Yes, I have always described the different types of hellish conditions and very severe painful life. But one has to counteract it. How can this be done? Sinful activities are committed in various ways. We can commit sinful activities or thus make a place thinking, or thus make a plan thinking, I shall kill that man. Either way, it is sinful. When the mind is thinking, feeling, and willing, then there is action. The other day, I was reading in a book that if someone's dog barks at you when you are passing on the road, then that is an offense on the part of the dog's owner. According to law in America, no one should have to be scared by dogs barking, so one should take care of his dog. I read this. It is a law in your country. The dog is simply barking, but it is sinful. The dog is not responsible because it is an animal, but because the owner of the animal has made the dog his best friend, he is responsible by law. If an outside dog enters your house, it may not be killed, but the owners of the dog may be prosecuted. Just as the barking of the dog is unlawful, so when you speak something offensive to others, that is also sinful. Let me read that again. Just as the barking of the dog is unlawful, so when you speak something offensive to others, that is awful. That is also sinful. That is just like barking of a dog. Therefore, sinful activities are committed in so many ways. Whether we think of sinful activities, or we speak something sinful, or we actually commit a sinful activity, they are all considered sinful activities. Dhruvam sa vai pretya narakan upaiti. One has to suffer punishment for such sinful activities. People do not believe in a next life. Yeah, that's a real problem. Most people don't believe that there's life after death. But there is life after death. But the most of the people in this world believe that when you die, that's it. Everything's finished. Yeah. And therefore, they try and have as much sense gratification as they can get, and then they'll accept being dead, but they're not at all interested in engaging in devotional life. People do not believe in a next life because they want to avoid this botheration. But we cannot avoid it. We must act according to the law, or we will be punished. Similarly, I cannot avoid God's law. That is not possible. I can cheat others, commit theft, and hide myself, thereby saving myself from the punishment of the state law. But I cannot save myself from the superior law, the law of nature, or the law of God. It is very difficult. There are so many witnesses. The daylight is witness. The moonlight is witness. And Krishna is the supreme witness. You cannot say, I am committing this sin, but no one can see me. Krishna is the supreme witness, sitting within your heart. He notes down what you are thinking and what you are doing. He also gives facility if you want to do something to satisfy your senses. Krishna gives the facility for that action. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Shaham Hridi Sanivista. I am sitting in everyone's heart. Matak Smitir Gyanam Apohanam Cha. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. In this way, Krishna gives us a chance. If you want Krishna, then he will give you a chance to have him. And if you don't want Krishna, then he will give you a chance to forget him. If you want to enjoy life, forgetting Krishna, forgetting God, then Krishna will give you all facility so that you can forget. And if you want to enjoy life with Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will give you the chance to make progress in Krishna consciousness. That is up to you If you think that you can be happy without Krishna consciousness, Krishna does not object to that. Yatechasi tata kuru. After advising Arjuna, he, meaning Krishna, simply said, "Now I have explained everything to you. Whatever you desire, you can do." Arjuna replied immediately, "Karishye vachanam tava." Now I shall execute your order, Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. God does not interfere with your little independence. But if you want to act according to the order of God, then God, Krishna, will help you, even if you fall down sometimes. If you become sincere, from this time on, I shall remain Krishna conscious and execute his orders, or Krishna's orders. Then Krishna will help you. In all respects, even if you fall down, he will excuse you and give you more intelligence. This intelligence will say, "Don't do this. Now go on with your real duty." But if you want to forget Krishna, if you want to become happy without Krishna, he will give you so many chances that you will forget Krishna life after life. Parikshit Maharaj says here, "It is not that I say there is no God, then there will be no God, or I will not be responsible for what I do." That is the atheistic theory. Atheists do not want God because they are always sinful. If they thought that there was a God, then they would be forced to shudder at the thought of punishment. Therefore, they deny the existence of God. That is their process. They think that if they do not accept God, then there is no punishment, and they can do whatever they like. When rabbits are being attacked by bigger animals, they close their eyes and think, I am not going to be killed. But they are killed anyway. Similarly, we may deny the existence of God and the law of God, but still, God and his law are there. In the high court, you may say, I don't care for the government or the law of the government, but you will be forced to accept the government law. If you deny the state law, then you will be put into prison and you will be forced to accept the government law. If you deny the state law, then you will be put into prison and be caused to suffer. Similarly, you may foolishly decry the existence of God. There is no God, or I am God, but nevertheless you are responsible for all your actions, both good and bad. There are two kinds of activities, good and bad. If you act nicely and perform pious activities, then you get good fortune. And if you act sinfully, then you will have to suffer. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami says, there are different kinds of atonement. If you commit some sin and counteract it by something else, that is atonement. There are examples of this. In the Christian Bible, one second, Sukadeva Goswami says, you should know that you are responsible. And according to the gravity of sinful life, you should accept some type of atonement as described in the Shastras, the scriptures. Actually, just as when one is diseased, he must go to a doctor and pay doctor bills as a form of atonement. According to the Vedic way of life, there is a class of Brahmanas to whom one should go for the prescribed atonement according to the sins one commits. Sukadeva Goswami says that one has to execute the prescribed atonement according to the gravity of one's sinful life. He continues the example. Dosasya dristava guru lagavam yata bisak chikitsata rujam nidana vit. When you consult a physician, he prescribes an inexpensive medicine or a costly medicine according to the gravity of the disease. If you simply have a headache, he may prescribe an aspirin. But if you have something very severe, he immediately prescribes a surgical operation that will cost $1,000 or more. Similarly, sinful life is a diseased condition. So one must follow the prescribed cure to become healthy. Acceptance of the chain of birth and death is a diseased condition of the soul. The soul has no birth and death and no disease because it is spirit. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 2.20, Najayate, the soul, has no birth, and mriyate, it has no death. Nitya sasrato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sarire. The soul is eternal and everlasting. It is not lost when the dissolution of this body. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. Nahanyate means that it is not killed or destroyed even after the destruction of this body. The missing point of modern civilization is that there's no educational system to instruct people on what happens after death. Thus, we have the most defective education, because without this knowledge of what happens after death, one dies like an animal. The animal does not know that he's going to have another body. He has no such knowledge. Human life is not meant for becoming an animal. One should not simply be interested in eating, sleeping, sex life, and defense. You may have a very nice arrangement for eating, or many nice buildings for sleeping, or a very good arrangement for sex life, or a very, very good defense force to protect you. But that does not mean that you are a human being. That type of civilization is animal life. Animals also are interested in eating, sleeping, and sex life. And according to their own methods, they defend also. Where then is the distinction between the human being and the animal life if you simply engage in these four principles of bodily nature? This distinction, or the distinction, is made when a human being is inquisitive. Why have I been put into this miserable condition? Is there any remedy for it? Is there any perpetual eternal life? I do not want to die. I want to live very happily and peacefully. Is there a chance of this? What is that method? What is that science? When these inquiries are there and steps are taken to answer these questions, that is human civilization. Otherwise, it is doggish civilization, animal civilization. Animals are satisfied if they can eat, sleep, and have some sex life, and have some defense. Actually, there is no defense, because no one can protect himself from the hands of cruel death. Hiranyakashipu, for instance, wanted to live forever, and so he underwent severe austerities. So-called scientists are now saying that we shall stop death by scientific methods. This is also another crazy utterance. That is not possible. You may make great advancement in scientific knowledge, but there is no scientific solution to these four problems. birth, death, old age, and disease. One who is intelligent will be eager to solve these four prime problems. No one wants to die, but there is no remedy. I have to die. Everyone is very anxious to stop the increase of population by employing so many contraceptive methods. But still, birth is going on. So there's no stoppage of birth. You may invent up to date medicines by your scientific methods, but you cannot stop disease. It is not possible just to take a tablet to put an end to disease. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosana darshanam. One might think that he has solved all the problems of his life. But where is the solution to these four problems of birth, death, old age, and disease? That solution is Krishna consciousness. Krishna also says in the same book, Janma karma chame divyam ivam yo veti tatvata tyakvadeham punarjanma naiti mam eti so arjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Every one of us is giving up our body at every moment. The last phase of giving up this body is called death. But Krishna says, if anyone understands my appearance and disappearance and my activities, not superficially, but in truth, after giving up this body, he never again accepts a material body. What happens to such a person? Mam eti. He returns to Krishna. If you are to go to Krishna, then you have to prepare your spiritual body. That is Krishna consciousness. If you keep yourself in Krishna consciousness, then gradually you prepare your next body, a spiritual body, which will carry you immediately to Krishna Loka, the abode of Krishna, and you will become happy. You will live there perpetually and blissfully. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there's so many nice things that we just heard. And only Prabhupada can write like this. Nobody else can. Yeah. But we should at least learn something from what we just read. So our takeaway for today is the following. Every one of us is giving up our body at every moment. In other words, at every moment, we're coming closer to death. The last phase of giving up this body is called death. But Krishna says, if anyone understands my appearance and disappearance and my activities, not superficially, but in truth, after giving up this body, he never again accepts a material body. What happens to such a person? Mam eti. He returns to Krishna. If you are to go to Krishna, then you have to prepare your spiritual body. That is Krishna consciousness. If you keep yourself in Krishna consciousness, then gradually you prepare your next body, a spiritual body, which will carry you immediately to Krishna Loka, the abode of Krishna, and you will become happy. You will live there perpetually and blissfully. Now, just to give you an example, a friend of mine just died. And he used to come here to this temple. Right? And, but not really serious. He would act serious, but he was not really serious. and he would come And then I wouldn't see him for like a year. And then he'd come again. And every time he would come, he said, Prabhu, I'm going to come every day now. Every day I'm going to come and listen to your lectures. I love your lectures. He didn't do that. He said that, but he never did that. He just died. He just died. So he didn't take things seriously. So many times he told me, Prabhu, I'm going to come and listen to all your lectures now. I promise you I'm going to be here and I'm going to hear everything you say and I want to become a devotee and Krishna conscious. It didn't happen. And he's dead. It's very dangerous. We're living in a very dangerous world today. It's very hard for people to become serious about what is the purpose of life. They easily like to do nonsense things, but that doesn't help them spiritually. Just like my friend. He knows everything, but he doesn't follow anything. He knows everything, but he doesn't follow anything. Yeah, it's very dangerous. If you don't know, okay, that means that, all right, we can, say, well, Krishna will help you. But if you know everything, but you don't follow anything, that is nonsense. And Krishna will not be pleased at all. This guy knew everything. This devotee knew everything. He wasn't initiated, but I've known him from the moment I came to Seattle, he was there. Yeah. That's a long time, right? And he would come periodically, not regularly, but every once in a while he'd come, and I'd say, Prabhu, why don't you come regularly? Oh, I'm going to come from now on. I'm going to come from now on. Your lectures are wonderful. I'm going to come from now on. I promise you. And he never did it, Maybe he'd come one time, then that was it. I wouldn't see him for a year or two. But now I'm not going to see him anymore because he's dead. And it's a real tragedy because he knew a lot of things about Krishna consciousness, but he wasn't serious. And look what happened. Now he's dead. And who knows what's going to happen to him. So we have to be serious about being Krishna conscious. We can't be... So many Hindus and other people, Americans also, they talk so much, stuff, but they don't take it seriously. And what happens? Eventually, their time is up, and they're begging. They're begging, give me another 4 years. I haven't finished doing this or doing that, And it doesn't work like that. The man is already 80 years old, and he said, well, I haven't finished writing my, yeah. Huh? Yeah, my biography. I haven't finished. He's 80 years old. Yeah, so very sad. It's very, very sad. And this person, he would come, sit down, and listen for the lecture, and then after that, he said, Prabhu, your lectures are so good. I'm going to come every day. But the next day, he wouldn't come, and I wouldn't see him for a year or two. And then he would come back again, and so it was a joke. It was like a joke. He wasn't serious. And now look what happened. He's not going to come back anymore. He's dead. Yeah. We got to be very careful. This is not joking. This is serious. Very, very serious. It's life and death. Serious. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. See, every day we have a class in the morning and a class in the evening. Oh, my ring. Wow, it went over there real quick, huh? Thank you. Yeah. So, and if you follow the lectures in the morning and in the evening, you learn a lot. You learn a lot. And you feel good because instead of sitting down watching television or talking nonsense, you're learning. The more we learn about Krishna, the closer we come to Krishna. But if you think, oh, I know everything about Krishna, I don't have to go listen to a class, that's a big mistake. Big, big mistake. And I really feel sorry because this person, he was here when I first came to Sammamish. So how many years is that? Like 40 years or something? And he would come periodically. He didn't come all the time, but he would come periodically. And every time he would come, he would say, Prabhu, I'm going to come every day now. Every time he would say, but he wouldn't come. And look what happened to him now. He's dead. Very sad. Very, very sad. That's because he wasn't sincere. He wasn't serious. And now where is he? I don't know. What's going to happen to him? I don't know. Did he chant Hare Krishna before he died? I don't think so. I hope so, but I don't think so. So we have to be real serious. We can't joke around with Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is the most serious person. He never joked around. He always was focused on serving Krishna with love and devotion. Okay. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Science of Self-Realization is a great book. Wonderful. Okay, any questions or comments? If not, then we will adjourn. Pick it up again tomorrow morning. Early in the morning. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.